What on earth are you doing now, Daddy?
I'm going to be doing a bit of hollowing on the Regent lathe, making one of my favourite movie props. The starting point is this rather large ash log. I've had this in my shed for a few years, but it's still quite wet, and it's got some quite large cracking in the ends. I'm using my new Record Power spindle roughing gouge here, which is a lovely chunky bit of kit, and it made short work of turning this to round. You can see all the bark chippings flying off there. I'm just working backwards and forwards, moving the tool rest side to side to get the full length of the log in. You can see it's gradually coming to round because you can see that lovely ash grain appearing under the bark. There we go, a little bit more. And now I'm squaring off the ends, truing up the ends using the parting tool and creating a tenon on one end to go in the chuck jaws. There you go, it's the tenon all created. You can see the spur drive there. I'm using the Record Power SC4 chuck with the 100mm deep gripper dovetail jaws. I'm just tightening that up. There it is, ready to go. Putting on the steady rest here just to turn away that sort of knobble on the end. I'm just getting rid of that. Made a bit of a meal of this. I mean, there's quicker ways of doing this really. I'm just turning away that rough bit on the end, getting it all nice and smooth. I've taken the steady rest away again here, and I'm using a parting tool to create a groove. And then I'm switching to the spindle gouge to create the shape. And here I'm just rolling down here, creating some nice cuts, nice smooth cuts, riding the bevel, making sure I'm always cutting downhill. In other words, from the wider diameter to the narrower diameter, because we're spindle turning. And it was nice getting on doing a bit of spindle turning. Haven't done any for a little while. I'm trying out the new Record Power spindle gouge, which worked really nicely. I reprofiled it a little bit to suit my needs, but I'm getting some lovely cuts. This is it sort of roughed out at the minute, and you can see the ash grain there. And here I'm perfecting the shape. Starting from high, going to low, always downhill. That way you're not going against the grain, you're always cutting with supported grain so you don't get so much tear out. Here I'm perfecting the sort of the shape of the bottom of the egg and where it joins the base. Just getting a nice neat clean line there. Just like I say, riding the bevel, trying to get some better cuts going here. Just rolling down and turning and lifting the handle as I get into that deeper bit there. Here I've changed direction, and I'm just perfecting the profile of the upper part of the egg and just getting rid of any of that tatty grain, getting some smoother cuts. Almost there. A little bit of breakout here and there which I just need to turn away. I'm just going back to the bottom bit of the egg, just turning that so it's nice and smooth. And then we're ready for sanding. Just a few tool marks just to get rid of there. So lots of sanding. I think I sanded up to 600, starting at 120. And then it's on with the steady rest again. Because we're going to remove the tailstock. And we're drilling out now to depth using a very long auger bit, using the tailstock with the Jacob's chuck. You can see I'm using a grip on the chuck there to stop it rotating, because there's a lot of force on these long auger bits. Just backing out and advancing it gradually and backing out. But I put some tape on to mark depth. And now I've brought up the tailstock temporarily just while I shape the top. This is where the opening of the egg's going to be. I'm just removing this bulk here. Using the spindle gouge, just turning that away. Having a bit of fun really as well, enjoying my turning, because this bit's not critical. I'm just getting that ready to start hollowing really. This is a spindle piece, so now I've started hollowing in earnest. I'm now going from the middle to the outside. I'm using a Simon Hope Pro hollower here. This is a very hefty tool. There's a bit of slow-mo for you. But it's got a very small carbide tip on this. And you can change how aggressively it cuts by the angle that you put the tip at. It's got a very long, heavy handle. I'm just profiling the top.
Please subscribe.
I couldn't finish this in one go, so I wrapped it in shrink wrap while I was away from the lathe to stop it drying out and cracking anymore. Just marking out the opening in the top where the alien comes out, defining that with a parting tool, and just making sure that I know where I'm hollowing to. I don't want to cut that flange off the top. That's going to form the opening of the egg. Just profiling that a little bit here with a round nose scraper. And then we're starting hollowing in earnest using the Pro hollower. Just working from the centre to the outside with my auger hole as the guide really. And this gradually I got deeper and deeper and deeper until there's not much I can show you really, because it's all happening down deep inside the egg. But I'm trying to create a roughly even wall thickness to this to stop it cracking. I mean, if you were to see me at a distance doing this, it looks more like I'm playing snooker or billiards than wood turning, because of the long shaft on this tool. But then with sanding, don't be tempted to put your hand inside these things, these bigger hollow forms, because it could really do you an injury. So I'm just sanding the top part by hand. And now I'm marking out where I want the sort of petals or the opening of the egg. Just using a divider to do this. And then I've created a template, a cardboard template to mark out. Let's just make sure they're all even size. Then I use an awl to mark out where the petals meet the rim, and I'm just drilling those points. Makes it easier when it comes to sawing away the waste wood and finishing that sort of junction when you're carving. So just drilling each of the 4 points there. And my least favourite tool in the toolbox, the fret saw. Doesn't have to be neat, luckily, because it wasn't very neat. I'm just cutting away the waste wood. And this is where the drill holes really help. I don't know why I hate fret saws so much, I just do. There we go, cutting away the waste wood. Much cursing later and I've got the 4 petals. And I started by carving away some of the uneven bits and shaping it with a flex cut roughing knife, wood carving knife. But you got to be so careful because this is end grain and it's very easy to break great big lumps off if you're not careful. Certainly I'd started with a hammer and chisel and it just was breaking out too much. So I'm using 80 grit here on a power sander just to shape and profile, doing the rough stuff. Cutting it back to the line. And then loads and loads and loads of hand sanding. Just getting it all nice and smooth. And here's the partly finished alien egg. I modelled it on the first Alien film, the egg from the first Alien film, the one that got John hurt. So there it is. It's been on the lathe quite a long time. I've had quite a bit going on that has kept me out of my workshop. been trying to get back to work, to the day job. It's been very difficult trying to comply with all the COVID-19 stuff and the PPE and the processes, but we're getting there. It's taken up a lot of my time, and I am back at work now on a part-time basis. Also, my diverticulitis decided to flare up again, and we're ripping out the kitchen, putting a new kitchen in at the moment, so everything is in turmoil. So this has been partly done on the lathe for weeks. Yeah, quite a big fan of the Alien films. Now, I'm not a massive sci-fi film fan, but I do like the Alien films. But there it is, ash log. It was fairly wet. I'd had it several years, but still fairly wet. You can see this is a good example as to when you're wet turning, why to get it hollowed out quick, because the hollow part hasn't cracked, but the base, which is solid, has cracked. You can see that's got some quite big splits in it. I'm not overly worried about that because it's only the base, and I've got plans for this. But yeah, it's a good example of why you need to get these hollowed out. It's been on the lathe for, like I say, for several weeks, which is why this has dried out and cracked. It's part finished because I really want to get working on some airbrushing. I want to learn to airbrush, and I want to airbrush with spirit stains, Chestnut Products spirit stains, and I want to do some patterning and colouring and everything on it, and I really want to develop some airbrushing skills, but I can't do that at the minute because lockdown, we've run out of money, so I'm saving up for a good quality airbrush. I've got a compressor, I just need some airline and regulator and a good quality airbrush. As soon as I got those, then I'll get on and colour this. I might make something to go inside as well, but certainly I fancy airbrushing this. But there we go. That was all done on the Regent lathe, on the Coronet Regent lathe from Record Power. It's the first hollowing I've done on that, and it was a hefty piece of wood, and the lathe was fantastic. I had to modify my steady rest because of the new height of over the bed, but it was just fantastic. Loved the lathe, really good for that. Really enjoyable, so that was brilliant. Now next week, the 27th of June, I'm going to be live as part of Easy Wood Tools live demo day. I think I'm on after Carl Jacobson, which is 10 o'clock Central Time, I believe. I need to look that up and see what time that is here, but yeah, I'll be doing an hour's live demo on Milliput inlay. So check me out, so come and have a look and see what we're all up to. There'll be a list on Easy Wood Tools Facebook page, I think, and on their website as to who's doing what and when, but come and check out everybody and see what we're up to. But that should be good fun. I've just got to work out how to go live. I've never done it before. Might have to phone Jamie Page and see if he can give me some help. But be back soon, like I say, hopefully next week live, and I've got lots more projects planned, and if I can get hold of an airbrush, then I shall finish off my alien egg. Bye for now. Thank you very much to all my subscribers. Thanks for sticking with me, and like I say, back soon with some more videos. Here's a few stills of the egg, just showing sort of dimensions of it. It was one of those projects that dragged on a bit. Everything else seemed to get in the way. Hopefully once I've finished doing my kitchen rebuild, I should be getting a bit more work time again. You can see that cracking there in the base, but no cracks in the body of the egg. Beautiful grain on ash, and I'm hoping with the airbrushing I'm not going to hide the grain. I want the grain to show through the airbrushing.
Please like, share and subscribe. My daddy needs all the help he can get. More rubbish coming soon.
You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and hopefully once COVID-19 has passed, I'll put some more stuff on Etsy. But check out the live event if I can work out how to go live.
Please subscribe.